Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to art class. So let's get started on our next project. So hopefully everybody watched the video up at the top of the page. If you didn't get a chance to, please go ahead and do that right now. Because if you don't, you'll be kind of lost and confused about what we're talking about. So if you didn't, pause this one and go watch that one. Okay, alright, so now we're all on the same page. We've all watched that video, I hope. So today we're going to talk about something called a coat of arms. Now, as you learned from that video, the coat of arms was a way that people in medieval times used to kind of distinguish themselves from one another, to represent themselves. It was a way of identifying people on the battlefield when they were all wearing suits of armor. That was what they were used for a long time, but that's not the only thing they were used for. They were also used as just really kind of a symbol to identify families and groups. So if you think of a flag, like Kentucky has a flag, America has a flag, this would be like if one family had a flag. That's kind of what a coat of arms was. All of the things that we see on a coat of arms, all of the little symbols, the designs, they were all there for reasons, for very specific, important reasons. So if we were living in medieval times and we had some of that knowledge, we could look at a coat of arms and figure out what some of those things meant. Now, that's not something we do on a regular basis, so most of us don't know what those things even mean anymore. Here is a coat of arms that came from my family a long time ago, or at least that's what the internet told me. Now, if you look, you'll see that there are knights' helmets on this one. Well, that means just at some point, someone in my family, a long, long time ago, back in Ireland or Scotland or one of those places, was a good soldier. So, good job, great-great-great-great-great-grandpa. Thank you. So, coats of arms. They would probably look different if we were to try to make one today, right? Because if I was going to represent myself right now, I probably wouldn't use a knight's helmet, because there's really nothing about me that I can think of that has anything to do with a knight's helmet. When we think of a very specific kind of art that has to do with ourselves, we usually think of a portrait. If someone makes artwork about us, that's a portrait. The ones that we make about ourselves are called self-portraits. We've talked about self-portraits a lot. You probably started making them or something like them in this art class when you were in, first grade. This one's kind of different though. We know that a self-portrait doesn't really even always have to show you. It can just be about you. So as long as it has things that we would know are about you, then it counts as a self-portrait. So that's the goal for this lesson. You're going to create your own coat of arms. It'll be based on those old ones. We'll have, some of the same designs, some of the basic shapes and designs we're going to use. But other than that, it's all going to be stuff that's about you right now. I don't think any of you are queen just yet. So, probably don't need to see a crown on it, but maybe someday. Good luck. All right, so that's the plan. So, you, my friends, are going to think of things that have to do with you. So, if I was to think about things that have to do with me, I would think about some of the things that I like and some of the things that I like to do. I like to play the guitar. I like to go hiking and camping out in nature, out in the forests. I like my dogs. They're pretty cool. So those are a couple of things that I can just immediately think of that I might put on a coat of arms that I was making for myself. So think about things like that. You don't need to use mine because we're all different. I'm sure you've got a lot of your own great ideas. Last thing I want to say before we start actually making these, Usually in art class, we're trying to add a lot of details to our artwork. This one, I kind of want you to go the other way. Now you're gonna have to show 3 or 4 things about yourself, so that's not what I mean. I don't want you to just think of one thing. But when you choose how you draw those things, we want them to be kind of simple. Because if you think about those coats of arms, and there's some examples down below here of some old ones, some parts of them looked, sure, very complicated, but more often than that, they were kind of simplified versions of the real thing. If it had a lion on it, we could probably tell it was a lion, but it didn't look like a real life lion that was going to jump out and get you. So start thinking about some things that kind of represent you, and start thinking about maybe some simple ways that you could draw those. All right, let's get started making one. All right, guys, so let's get started working on these coats of arms. I'm going to show you a couple quick examples first, and then you can get started on your own. So you don't really need to worry about following along with me. If you want to follow along with me for kind of the first shape, that's fine, but you don't have to, because there's going to be kind of a lot of options about how your shape and your design works, and I want you to pick the one that you want, not necessarily the one that I want. All right, so you're going to need some paper, some crayons eventually, or markers or something to color with, a pencil to do your drawing. If you have a marker that you can trace over your stuff with, that's always a good idea. It makes your shapes stand out really well. If you don't have one, not a problem. Maybe a ruler if you want your lines to be nice and straight, but they don't have to be perfect as long as you're doing your best. Okay, so the first thing that we are all gonna have is some sort of a shield shape. That's historically what they looked like, because of the fact that they were once on shields. But even after they were no longer used for those purposes, they still kind of maintained that shape. So here are a bunch of examples of different shield outlines that you can use. Now, after the video, the examples that I show you, like that one, you'll be able to find down beneath this video. So if you need to look at those again, don't worry, they'll be there. Or you can always go back in the video and pause it. All right, so I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna use a marker just so you can see better. I'm gonna start with just like the most simple, basic shield shape I can think of. Straight line up top. And then the sides are gonna kind of curve down and meet at a point somewhere near the middle. Let's see, it's pretty close to the middle. I'll do the other one. All right, so pretty close, not perfect. All right, so now you need to decide how the design of your shield. Here are some examples that are from history. So here's some examples of some shield designs. Now some of these, as you can see, they will definitely work for us. Some of these might not. But I wanted you to see plenty of examples. You don't have to use one of these. If you want to come up with your own, that's fine. If you want to combine some of these, that's fine too. So remember, these are going to have images, symbols on them that mean something about ourselves. I would love for you guys to have, let's say, 3 or 4 different things on there. If you want to do a couple more, that's fine. And the symbols that I use, the number of symbols that I want, that's gonna kind of help me figure out my design. And I think I'm gonna do 3 things about myself, since this is a self-portrait. So after I figure out my design, I want to be left with three areas. So I'm gonna do something kind of like this. Again, depends on how many areas you need, how much stuff about yourself you want to include. I want to do kind of 3 main things, so 1, 2, 3. That's where we are. All right, so now is when you would decide what kind of symbols, well, not decide, hopefully you've already decided, but now is when you start thinking about how you want to make the symbols about you, where you want those things, stuff like that. So one of the things that I like to do when I'm not here teaching you guys is play the guitar. So I am going to draw a guitar over on this side. Let's see here. And remember, we want nice, like, simple symbols. They don't need to be super complicated. As long as we can tell what they're supposed to be, it'll work. All right, so there's my guitar symbol. When I am here, I like making art with you guys. That's also something I do when I'm not here, so that's something about me. So let's go with like a big paintbrush. All right, so we've got a guitar, we've got a paintbrush. I really like camping, being outside in nature, so I think down here I'm gonna make like a little campfire symbol. Logs. And my fire. All right, so I am here in a second gonna go ahead and color it in, but I'll speed it up so it doesn't waste a lot of your time. There's one more thing that I'm gonna add to mine. Now this is kind of an option. If you guys want to, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine. This is just kind of something extra you could do. If you think about a lot of the examples that we've seen of those coats of arms, the name of the family, the person it belongs to, is down here, and they're usually, it kind of looks like a banner, like a piece of fabric that's kind of floating in the wind with the name written on it. So down under this video, I put a bunch of different examples of different ways you can draw those banners. They look really simple. Sometimes figuring out where the different shapes go can be kind of confusing, so that's why I'm saying this is optional. I'm going to go ahead and do it for mine. You do not have to, but if you would like to try it, that would be great. All right, so there's my banner. And my name, so we know who it belongs to. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and color mine just so you guys can see kind of the finished version of it. And I'll speed that up so I don't waste a bunch of your time. And all right, here we go. All right, there is my Mr. Holiday coat of arms. Remember, these are self-portraits, so think about things that represent you. As many things that as you can think of. You might even want to make a list and then pick 3 or 4 things like we said. So I'm sure there's way more than 3 or 4 things that represent you, but you kind of want to pick maybe your 3 or 4 most favorite. The colors would be another way that you could represent yourself. I really like the Cubs, so maybe all my colors could have been blue and red, to kind of represent that without having to, you know, draw a baseball or something on here. So that's just another thought. All right, so don't forget there are a bunch of examples of things like the shield shapes, the designs of these coats of arms, and our banners if you choose to make one of those. Once you're all done, take as much time as you need to work on these. Click the button that says show my artwork to Mr. Holiday, take a picture of it, video, and I can't wait to see them. Hope you guys are doing well. See you later. Bye.